Hi, welcome to Loft 801. My name is Diego, and today I'm talking about Obsession, the 2026 supernatural horror directed by Currybarker. And wow, I had a really good time with this movie. FYI, this review will not contain any spoilers outside of what you can see in the trailers. Obsession follows a guy named Baron Bailey, or Bear, played by Michael Johnston. He works at a music store with his childhood friend Nikki, played by Inde Navarrette, and Bear has been quietly in love with her for a long time. He's clearly one of those guys who wants to say something and see the friendship blossom into something more, but he doesn't have the confidence to do it. Then he comes across this supernatural toy called a One Wish Willow, which supposedly grants one wish when it's broken. So, in a moment of weakness, Bear wishes for Nikki to love him more than anything else. And that's really all you need to know going into this movie, because from there, Obsession becomes this really creepy, uncomfortable, supernatural horror movie about love, possession, control, and what happens when someone tries to force a feeling that was never freely chosen. What I liked about this movie is that it takes a premise that could have been cheesy and it turns it into something genuinely unsettling. Now, I won't lie, there definitely are some cliche moments here and there. There are a couple of loud jump scares, there's a few shots of Nikki moving around in a creepy body horror posture, stuff that we've seen before. But even with those moments, I was still on edge for most of the movie. The movie is at its best when it lets Nikki just exist. Whether she's standing in a corner watching Bear sleep or talking in this overly sweet way where something clearly feels wrong, that's when the movie is genuinely creepy. Inde Navarrette is absolutely the star of this movie. Her performance does a lot. She plays Nikki as sweet, romantic, seductive, obsessive, scary, vulnerable, and trapped, sometimes all within the same scene. She can snap between pure love, genuine panic, and then jump back into this almost innocent affection. There are moments where she's terrifying and not just in a crazy girlfriend horror way. There's something tragic and unnatural happening to her, and Inde Navarrette sells that really well. Her screaming voice is also genuinely unsettling. It has this thunderous quality to it where when she loses control, it feels like the whole room changes. It feels like Baron has to tiptoe on broken glass just to keep her normal. But honestly, some of her scariest moments are quieter. It's not just when she's screaming or lashing out, it's when she's being overly sweet, overly attached, and acting like everything between them is romantic and perfect, even though you can feel how wrong it is. That's when the movie really got under my skin, and that's when I felt the secondhand embarrassment kick in. This movie made me cringe in a good way. There are scenes where Nikki causes a scene or acts super weird in public, and I was physically uncomfortable watching it. Again, not because the scene was bad, but because it's embarrassing watching someone act in a socially inappropriate context out in public. The restaurant scene, the house party stuff, moments like that, the movie knows how to make obsessive affection feel humiliating and scary all at the same time. Michael Johnston is also really good as Bear. He plays him as this spineless lover boy who is trapped by hope and denial. And I mean that as a compliment. Bear is frustrating in the exact way he needs to be frustrating. At first, you want to root for him because he seems like this sad, insecure guy who has a crush and doesn't know how to handle it. But very quickly, he starts making terrible decisions. He becomes cowardly, avoids responsibility, and keeps hoping the situation will somehow fix itself. And the more the movie went on, the more I lost faith in him being able to get out of this because he didn't have the backbone to do what needed to be done. But that's also what makes his character interesting. He's fussy, insecure, and emotionally weak. He wants love, but he doesn't understand the cost of forcing it. And that's really the core of the movie. Because this isn't just a movie about a supernatural wish gone wrong. It's a movie about tunnel vision. It's about wanting the wrong person so badly that you stop seeing them as a real person with their own choices. Bear's wish may come from a place that seems harmless at first, but he keeps the situation going, and that's what makes him responsible. He forces Nikki into a life that she didn't choose, and the movie does not let him off the hook for that. As a side thing, I also really liked the dialogue in the movie. It felt realistic to me. It was never overwritten or fake. The conversations have this casual, awkward rhythm to them that made the characters feel like people who actually know each other. So even when the movie gets heightened and supernatural, the dialogue keeps it grounded. And weirdly enough, there are a few Nikki moments that reminded me of real relationship behavior. Obviously taken to a horror extreme, but still recognizable. Like, my girlfriend sometimes jokingly asks me, "Why do you hate me?" And Nikki has a few moments where she taps into that playful, clingy, dramatic energy. In fact, there were even a couple of moments that made me laugh because my girlfriend does this thing where if we're napping together and I try to leave or get up, she pulls me me even tighter and says, "You're not going anywhere." The movie takes all of these harmless things and turns the dial all the way into obsession. Suddenly, the cute, needy energy becomes scary, possessive, and uncomfy. Not to beat a dead horse, but that is what makes the movie work so well. It takes something familiar and affectionate and then twists it into something completely unsafe. And the music plays a huge role in selling that twisted romance. The score, especially during the romantic moments, has this ethereal, surreal quality to it. It gives the movie this dreamlike feeling, and it reminded me of the soundtrack from The Ugly Stepsister, where the music is hypnotic, synthy, ambient, and haunting. I love when horror movies use romantic music in a way that makes the romance feel cursed, and Obsession does that well. But even though the movie does have this dreamy romantic quality to it, it can snap into something ugly when it needs to. There's some solid gore here. It's not wall-to-wall blood, but when the movie decides to get violent, it can get nasty. There are some cuts, some brutal moments, and at least one death that is pretty intense. The gore comes out of the emotional chaos of the story, so when the violence does happen, it feels like the emotions have finally boiled over. And that escalation is where Currybarker's direction works best. He does a really good job keeping the movie moving and building tension. The movie is an hour and 49 minutes, but I never felt bored because it kept finding new ways to escalate the tension. The movie starts with this simple crush, this simple wish, and then it keeps tightening the situation until everything feels more and more suffocating. Also, the supernatural element is simple, which I appreciated. The movie doesn't over-explain everything. It essentially gives you the rules you need, and then it lets the horror come from the consequences. I had a great time with Obsession. It has a few familiar horror beats, but the performances, the cursed romance atmosphere, the music, the gore, the uncomfortable secondhand embarrassment all worked really well for me. Inde Navarrette is easily the standout. Michael Johnston makes Bear frustrating in the exact way he needs to be, and Currybarker takes a simple wish-gone-wrong premise and turns it into something creepy, romantic, awkward, violent, and weirdly relatable, if you're in a relationship. This is a movie about wanting someone so badly that you stop seeing them as a person with their own choices, and I think that idea gives the horror a strong emotional hook. I would absolutely recommend Obsession if you like supernatural horror, toxic romance stories, or movies that make affection feel cursed. It might make you think twice before asking someone if they love you more than anything else. Thank you for listening to my review of Obsession. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and hit subscribe. If you did not enjoy the video, thank you for sticking around. As always, I would love to read what you have to say, so leave a comment and let me know what you're thinking. Also, if there's something you want to see reviewed, don't forget to let me know and I will do my best to get to it. Lastly, if you want to see some more from me, then you can check out my vlogs linked up above or my podcast, Good Friends. Again, thank you for watching. My name is Diego and I will see you next time.